Why saving money won't make you rich? Most people believe that saving money is the path to becoming rich. And that's exactly why most people will never become rich. I know that sounds crazy. You've been told your entire life to save more, spend less, cut expenses, stop buying coffee, stop eating out, and put money aside. But let me ask you a simple question. If saving money was the secret to wealth, why are some of the biggest savers in the world still broke? And why do some of the wealthiest people spend more in a week than most people spend in a year? Today, I'm going to show you why saving money alone will never make you rich. More importantly, I'm going to show you what actually does, because once you understand this, you'll never look at money the same way again. Now, before people get angry in the comments, let me be clear. Saving money is important, but saving money is not the thing that creates wealth. It's the thing that gives you the opportunity to create wealth. And those are two very different things. Here's what most people do. They spend their entire lives playing defense, they cut expenses, they look for discounts, they avoid risks, they save every dollar they can. And then 20 years later, they wonder why they're still financially stuck. Want to know the crazy part? The problem isn't that they saved too much. The problem is that they never learned how to create value. Let me explain. Imagine two people. Person A saves $200 every single month, for 10 years. They're disciplined. They're responsible. They're doing everything society tells them to do. Now let's look at person B. Instead of saving that $200 every month, they spend it learning a valuable skill. Sales, marketing, programming, copywriting, content creation, negotiation, something that increases their ability to earn. For the first year, person A looks smarter. They're building savings. Person B is spending money. But then something interesting happens. Person B starts earning more, not because they worked harder, but because they became more valuable. And this is the first lesson that changed my life. The marketplace does not reward effort, it rewards value. Read that again. The marketplace does not reward effort, it rewards value. There are people working 12-hour shifts every day who struggle financially. And there are people making thousands of dollars while they sleep. The difference isn't effort. The difference is value. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Most people think wealth comes from saving, but wealth actually comes from leverage. And leverage is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. Let's make it simple. Imagine you move rocks for a living. One person uses their hands, another person uses a shovel, a third person uses a machine. All three people are working, but they're not producing the same output. The machine operator creates far more value, not because they're working harder, because they're using leverage. And the exact same thing happens in business. One person sells their time. Another person builds systems. One person works for money. Another person creates assets that make money. One person saves. Another person invests in things that grow. Guess who becomes wealthy? This is why some people spend their entire lives trying to save their way to wealth and never get there. Because you cannot save your way out of a low-income problem. You can only earn your way out. Now don't misunderstand me. You absolutely need savings. Savings are important, but savings are fuel. They are not the destination. Think about it this way. A car needs fuel, but nobody buys gasoline because they want gasoline. They buy gasoline because they want to go somewhere. Savings are the same. The purpose of savings is not to make you rich. The purpose of savings is to create opportunities. Opportunities to invest, opportunities to learn, opportunities to take calculated risks, opportunities to build something. Here's another mistake people make. They obsess over cutting expenses. They spend hours trying to save $10, but they never spend time figuring out how to make an extra 1,000. That is a terrible trade, because expenses can only go down to zero. Income has no ceiling. Think about that. You can only stop spending so much, but there's no limit to how much value you can create. And the wealthiest people understand this. That's why they focus more on increasing income than reducing expenses. Now here's a story. A friend of mine spent years trying to save money. He drove an old car, never traveled, never bought anything nice, always worried about spending. Then one day he invested in learning sales. At first it felt expensive, but within a year his income doubled. then doubled again. And suddenly the amount he had spent years trying to save became insignificant compared to what he could now earn. That was the moment he realized something. Your greatest asset isn't your savings account, it's your earning ability. And yet, most people spend more time researching a television than increasing their earning power, which is insane when you think about it, because your skills determine your future income, and future income determines your future wealth. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They want certainty, they want guarantees, they want a risk free path to becoming wealthy. But that path doesn't exist. Every meaningful reward requires some level of risk. The question isn't whether you'll take risks. The question is whether you'll take smart risks or accidental risks. Because doing nothing is also a risk. Staying the same is a risk. Avoiding growth is a risk. And often it's the biggest risk of all. Here's the formula I wish someone had taught me earlier. Savings create stability. Skills create income. Leverage creates wealth. Read that again. Savings create stability. Skills create income. Leverage creates wealth. Most people stop at the first step. A few people reach the second. Very few ever reach the third. And that's why wealth seems mysterious. It's not mysterious, it's mathematical. The people who create the most value, use the most leverage, and continue improving their skills tend to win. Not immediately, but eventually. And eventually is what matters, because wealth is not built in a month. It's built through years of repeated decisions. One skill, one investment, one opportunity, one improvement at a time. So if you're currently focused only on saving money, here's my challenge to you. Keep saving. But start asking a different question. Instead of asking, how can I spend less? Start asking, how can I become more valuable? Because that single question can change your entire financial future. The goal isn't to save every dollar. The goal is to become the kind of person who can create dollars whenever they're needed. And that's the difference between being financially secure and being truly wealthy. Poor people focus on the price. Rich people focus on the value. Poor people protect money. Rich people create money. And once you understand that difference, everything changes.